On October 13th, 2021, the body of Christina Parcell, a 41-year-old vet technician, was found murdered in her sister's Greer, South Carolina home. This investigation would lead down a series of rabbit holes so dark that it would forever change the lives of everyone involved. Hope you brought a neck brace for this week, because the twists and turns that are going to happen in this episode are going to give you whiplash. Now let's go. So on the morning of October 13th, 2021, Christina Parcell was unable to be reached by her fiancé, Bradley Post. He was calling her, texting her, and eventually got so worried at 11 a.m., he went to go find out if she was actually okay. When he went into the home that they shared together that was owned by her sister, what he found was just absolutely insane. Blood everywhere. She was completely unrecognizable. 31 stab wounds to the face and neck. She was surrounded by a bunch of rose petals, a bag of what was believed to be cocaine, a bunch of cash, and a bunch of thumb drives, as well as her own cell phone. Her family, friends, and coworkers said she was like the best person ever. She was the shoulder to cry on. She was always the most supportive person. She would be like the caretaker of anyone who ever needed help. And they had no idea why she would be murdered so horrifically. Then, a break in the case. Video footage of a man wearing a hoodie and mask riding a bike to and from the murder scene was uncovered. But interestingly enough, this wasn't Bradley Post. Following a trail of Ring doorbell cameras, they discovered footage of Juilliard concert pianist and Lord of the Rings enthusiast Zachary Hughes loading the same bike into his truck. When the police were like, "What were you doing at this house at the same time someone was being murdered?" He was pretty much like, "I don't know what you're talking about," went completely non-cooperative, and refused to hand over his cell phone. What's really weird about this is that at the time, Zachary had no known ties to Christina. The only thing they knew about him was that he loves Lord of the Rings and LARPing. He'd go out LARPing with other Hobbit fans and swing swords around in the woods as a grown adult, which is arguably his biggest crime known to date. Now, during this time, forensic evidence was processed and Christina's actual fiancé was arrested. And people are going crazy, like, "Oh my God, of course he was the one to do it," not knowing that they already had footage of Zachary Hughes going to and from. So when the police came out and said what he was arrested for, people were kind of disappointed and confused. They were like, "What is going on?" Because he was arrested for one count of buggery. It says, "Whoever shall commit the abominable crime of buggery, whether with mankind or with beast, shall on conviction be guilty of felony, and shall be imprisoned in the penitentiary for 5 years, or shall pay a fine of not less than $500, or both, at the discretion of court." So, pretty much, he was having sex with animals on camera. Evidence was taken from Christina's phone that showed the couple, yes, Christina, the woman who was murdered, showed her and her fiancé having sex with animals. Did I mention Christina was also a veterinary technician that worked at an animal hospital? And unfortunately, this would not be the only egregious crime Christina was involved in. So back to Zachary, who they found going to and from the crime scene that morning. Zachary's DNA was an exact match to the DNA found under Christina's fingernails. So that, combined with the video of him coming to and from the crime scene at the time of the murders, does not look good at all. Zach is immediately arrested and asked for his cell phone, which he did provide, but without the passcode to get in to process the evidence in his phone. It took police almost 700,000 attempts before they were able to actually crack it. And what they found would lead to another arrest. What they found was almost 2,000 messages between Zachary and a man named John Mello on WhatsApp. Now, John Mello is the ex-husband of Christina Parcell. And John Mello, outside of being Christina's ex-husband, was a successful music producer and co-owner of the Doll Hut Tavern in Anaheim, California. So the week of his ex-wife's murder, he actually took their 10-year-old daughter out of the country to get them both registered for dual citizenship in Italy. Upon his return 8 days after the murder, he was arrested at the airport for violating his custody agreement. You can't just go willy-nilly taking kids out of the country if you have, split custody with someone. So when the police asked who his emergency contact should be while he was in jail, and when the airport asked who's going to pick up your luggage, he gave the same answer. John said, "Zachary Hughes." So on the morning of the murder, Mello actually texted Zachary Hughes saying, "Hey, how did that music research go?" And Zachary replied, "Good, I'll tell you over the phone." Now at this point, it's pretty clear that Zachary has killed Christina, but more evidence would come to light. So the thumb drives, during all this investigation, they were also checked for evidence, and what police found made them even more sick to their stomach. And this is a trigger warning for anyone who does not want to hear about SA of any kind. Please move forward to Now, the evidence shown on the thumb drives in parts of Christina's phone showed her filming and being filmed, taking part in the creation of child porn with her own daughter and Bradley Post. Bradley has since been charged with 5 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor in the first degree, 1 count of sexual exploitation of a minor in the third degree, 1 count of third-degree criminal sexual conduct with a minor, and the 1 count of buggery. There have since been 2 new lawsuits filed against Bradley Post and Christina's estate. One civil suit is from Christina's daughter and demands damages for the sexual and psychological abuse suffered at their hands, while the second was filed on behalf of another minor female who claims to have been abused by the couple as well. So what's crazy about these crimes is that they also have police investigating whether or not Christina and Bradley are tied to a local pedophile organization. There was recently a sting where 45 predators were arrested in the same town, 1/3 of which were women looking to abuse children. And there's another case against a local cheerleading organization that was launched, resulting in the suicide of one of the coaches who was accused, amongst others, of having sex with minors and asking them for lewd photos. Police have not ruled out any tie to either investigation with these two. So people are speculating that Christina and John's daughter actually told John what was going on, and he decided to take justice into his own hands. What do you guys think? Does Zachary and John deserve to get off or charged with a lesser crime? Is there ever a time where vigilante justice is legally justifiable? Sound off in the comments, and I'll see you next week with another story that'll make you go, wait, what?